and this and...
That's a democracy.
Mm-hmm. And then you put your kid out there and they say, oh, where's your diploma?
Yep. Like that means something.
Mm-hmm.
And then the situation with the person I helped, we beat a 20-year attorney who went to law school, and she's only been studying independently for a few years, and then she only started studying under me for a few months, and we beat this 20-year experienced attorney with degrees. I didn't go to college.
Because he never wanted to help her in the first place.
They're inquisitionists.
It's how can I get a little out of you?
And help my boys out.
And help you
and
walk
then
away.
maintain this view that we're legitimate government when they're not.
Yep.
The game is real.
It's definitely real.
Yeah. And then I was on Facebook the other day, and someone got an award for like increasing like police relations with the black or colored community. They hand out awards for our own people who keep us suppressed. Like they're really getting like they really do this. Like it's one thing to know that they do it, but to see it like in your own community, like damn, you really got an award. And then we just went into the difference between a democracy and a republic. And we got our Moors who call themselves black and Indian who are running for like they openly admit to be part of the Democratic Party. Like we just, but these masses, they don't know that. So like, oh yeah, he's for the people. No, he's not. He's not. It don't matter what he says. If he keeps calling you black, Indian, colored, he's not for you.
Yeah.
If he's for the democracy, he's not for you.
Until we get somebody that's coming out and say,
no.
I'm gonna open all this information to you so you can have the truth.
But that's the United Nations said every church, every mosque, every synagogue, every school is supposed to teach this information. Noble Drew Ali set up the Old Canaanite Temple in 1913 for this purpose. Moorish Holy Temple of Science for this purpose. And then Moorish Science Temple of America, 1928. That's their job. And they said you're required to have a school on Sunday. That's why he was assassinated. That's why they infiltrated it. See what I'm saying? So the truth, that's the Moorish Science Temple of America, that's every temple's job supposed to do what we're talking about right now.
Instead you go to Sunday school and learn obedience. And
then that's where you learn to take your places amongst the affairs of men, because they're supposed to teach business, agricultural science, jurisprudence, history, civics. All of this is supposed to come from the Moorish Science Temple of America. See what I'm saying? But certain people want that. Certain temples have a 501c3. Certain temples don't. And you can and if you know this information, that's how you measure them. But if you don't, you can't measure them. And then they got you in this false dimension, because the dimension means measurement. You can only measure so far because you don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like these false dimensions are real. Exactly. That's what a dimension is. These dimensions are real. Like if you can only measure that far, you can't see what's past this.
Yeah.
And then especially if they're not telling you which books to read to get past this level. And then how to spiritually align yourself, which means how to breathe. Spirit means breath. Because when you get nervous and stuff like that, your breath is up here, and then your heart, boom, 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 and then you can't think clearly. But when when you cycle that energy throughout your whole body, then you can see.
Yeah, and unless this comes naturally to you,
exactly.
You get stuck in ignorance. Me being a Libra, a lot of these things are natural to me. I naturally say, "Oh, what are you getting mad at?"
Yeah.
Hold up.
Is it really worth it?
Yeah, listen first. Do an investigation. Yep. It's really sad. And then I look at other people, that just born with a disposition to be just high blood pressure, angry.
Yeah, but they choose that. Whether they know it or not, that's a choice.
I have friends that, on psych pills and they're gonna be helped.
They try to put me on psych pills.
And all you need is some understanding and to be shown there's another way.
Yep. And if you listen to yourself, yourself will tell you.
And it's funny because I'm thinking of one friend in particular. She goes to the doctor, they give her meds, and then they take her off those meds, give her new meds for no reason. The last one were working, but they put her on new meds, and nobody's really having a discussion with her and showing her when you think positive things will happen to you. That's not their job. It's not their job. Yeah, and people walk around like, oh, why are you always doing so well?
Yep.
Why does everything always work out for you?
Why are you so happy?
Yeah, because I said it's gonna happen.
And then people get mad like, why are you so happy? Because they're not happy. Because they don't know how to be happy. But anyway, if you look up the definition of the word pharmacy, it means poison.
Wow.
They're not supposed to help anyone. Their job is to suppress us.
Yeah.
That's their job.
I tell her all the time, you don't need meds. You need to change the way you think.
Yep.
And you need to change your perception of life and how you live it. And I'm the crazy one. I'm the weird one.
Oh, no, we are the weird ones.
Yeah. But I'll be weird. I've never been offended by that word. It's always been, okay.
I got called white all the time when I was younger. And now I get white because I am. you get what I'm saying? Like, even when I was younger, I knew I wasn't black.
Yep.
I knew it.
That's your social status.
I just couldn't explain it. I didn't know how. I just couldn't properly explain why I wasn't black. But now I get it. Black is pale.
Because you look at what quote unquote black is.
Yeah.
Like, I don't relate to that. That's not me.
At all.
I'm not black. I felt that way growing up too.
Yep.
And I, at the time I didn't have any education or background, so I used to say, oh yeah.
And then your family said
I'm
it.
Puerto Rican.
Right.
Yeah. I got called white all the time.
Right. Because we are. Isn't it like it's one thing to be called like, why are you calling me white? Like, I don't get it. Like, I'm just me.
I remember I came home from school one day and it was my first like school experience out in public in society, and I lived in a really Caucasian neighborhood.
Yeah.
Only dark person in class, and I came back from school and I told my mom I want to be white, and she was I got my butt whooped. And looking back, I'm like, I wanted that social privilege that belongs to me.
Yeah, because it absolutely does.
Yeah, and it wasn't that I wanted pale skin. I didn't want to be treated black.
Yeah, because it's exactly a social status. It means civil mortus, which means civically dead or dead in the eyes of the law. Because you're colored, you're appearing to be a person. That's what that means. So you don't get rights of a human.
3/8.
3/5.
Oh, 3/5?
Because you're missing your nationality and your religion.
Nice.
You got mind, body, soul, nationality, religion.
3/5.
And then Drew Ali restored our nationality and our divine creed. But we keep wanting to be black and Christian and Indian and whatever. And colored and whatever and comedic or whatever and RBG and whatever. Like, none of that is real.
Yeah, you don't be who you were born.
That's why Drew Ali said, Moors, be yourself. And he said, Moors, study yourself. Study your history. Study your law. Study where you come from. So, and he also said, those who have race pride and pride in their race, come hear the truth about your nationality and birthright. Come hear about who you are. Come hear about how you weren't taken on slave ships because the Europeans had superior guns because you created the gun.
And the ignorance is so thick that you can't tell somebody that they don't know. With their, they don't even have the slightest bit of education to even have the conversation with you.
Because we're not educated. We're indoctrinated. The word educate means to draw out what is already in you. All the stuff you already knew, I'm just bringing it out.
Yep.
That's what education is. But we're told you're from over there. We're told these people are Indian.
Yeah.
We're all Americans. It doesn't matter what color you are.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. But white power. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's funny the amount of things you know and you question yourself and you were born knowing these things.
Yep. That's the Akashic Records.
And the more you communicate with people and have conversations with people, you become more enlightened and more able to
be you.
Express your thoughts.
Yeah. They didn't want to make any of us orators. In school, they give us these tests and they grade us off the test. So based off the test, we think we're stupid. And I was talking to I don't want to say his name on camera, but the artist that I mentioned earlier, he was talking about when he was younger, they put him in like slower classes, and they would always ask him like, "Oh, can you explain this in a simpler way?" Because we're naturally advanced.
Yeah.
And then he said that the teacher would have him teach other students.
Yeah.
Like, come on, it's obvious.
The same for me. I was always the put all the ones that weren't keeping up in my group. Yep. And I was charged with helping the whole group out because it's a group project, so it's me and 4 Caucasian kids, and
it's not a coincidence.
Yeah. And then I get picked on and drilled. Oh, you're doing this not exactly the way I asked you because I'm giving you more than what you asked.
Because these teachers are part of that. They're part of the system too, whether they know it or not. It doesn't matter. They're part of it. Like in the Matrix, they said politicians, teachers, lawyers.
It's sad
some people don't even know.
Purposely dumbing us down. They don't want to teach cursive anymore, so that my sister can't even read the Constitution or rewrite it at all.
Most people don't even read the Constitution. Because if they did, they would know it's not a democracy.
But I remember when I was younger, we had to learn it. We had to recite it. We had to do a whole report on it. And
yeah, but you went to a more European school, right?
Yeah.
That's why.
My sister, she doesn't even. Where do you get the Constitution? Where does that exist? Yeah, what? It's insane. They don't teach long division anymore. They, everything is typed. Oh, get on Google. I had to use the Dewey Decimal System. Like, go look it up in a book. Prove it. Where's your source paper?
But they don't want us to do that. Yeah. Because they know, this is the information age. They know this. They know what's happening. These are high priests. That's why, these people with their job, they're saying you need to be in this position because they have your birthday. They know your birth chart. They know what you're good at. They know what position you need to be in.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? This is how it really works.
And I feel like this last generation, we're so scary because we're so smart.
But we don't have I was in the military, so we call it the testicular fortitude. You know what I mean? Like we don't got the backbone.
No.
Because there's outside pressures on us.
Yeah.
We gotta worry about rent, all that. But Rights of Indigenous People says we have the right to our land and resources back. Remember we was talking about the economic. Yeah, I'll just cut back. So technical difficulty. We'll cut back a little bit. So Rights of Indigenous People says we have the right to our land and resources back. That means water, gas, electricity, heat, sewage. Since this is our land, we don't have to pay for something that's on our land. It's already paid for. So, people always talking about authenticating the birth certificate, pay off the so-called debt. Birth certificate is a commercial instrument. Heat, water, resources aren't commerce. You can't use a commercial instrument to pay off something that's not commerce.
Yeah.
You see? So when you nationalize this is my land, how many ghettos are full of us? Full of our people? Like, what if they all had this concept, they all had this knowledge, they knew it, they knew who they are. We're not paying you for nothing. And then, our people always talk about 40 acres and a mule. That's what Rights of Indigenous People is. But it's for nations. Black's not a nation. No. If you claim to be Indian, that's someone else's name. You can't transact business in another man's name. And then be honorable, you can't. And then claim land to a place that's not India. No Chinese can say, I'm indigenous to America, this ain't China. No Indian can say, I'm indigenous to America, this ain't India. This is Morocco. That's the position of Moors. We know we're home. You see, our status is different. We're home. We can't go to China and say we're the nationals of China because we're not Chinese. We can't tell them what to do. But since we don't know who we are here, the Europeans can tell us what to do because they established jurisdiction over us. Juris, right, diction, words. They have the right to speak to us. Yeah. Because we don't know who we are because we're considered their property when we say we're black and Indian in color. Yeah. Yeah. Nationality is the order of the day. But we gotta organize. We can't just say,
we're stuck trying to be minors.
We're stuck, exactly. Minors in the mind. We're so busy trying to be something that we're not. Yeah. If we do have a babysitter, you're absolutely right.
Yeah. Now you got these Europeans trying to parent us, until you get your...
It's called parents portrait.
Till you learn something, till you grow up.
But they're deliberately dumbing us down so that they can keep being our parents portrait. They can keep escheating our estate. Because once... This is our state, right? We're the heirs to this. We abandon it, someone else has to administrate that. Because society has to keep going. Like, life has to keep going. That's how nature works. So if we're not doing it, someone has to do it. Yeah. Or we're going to, be destroyed.
And they try to make it look like they're taking care of us. Yeah. They don't want us to take care of ourselves.
That's why Hillary Clinton did that speech from the Ben Franklin room when she had the Star Spangled Banner and the American flag. Benjamin Franklin was a minister plenipotentiary. He was taught by us to treat between our Moroccan Empire and the Europeans, to even create the Constitution, to create the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, to create that commerce relation between us and them. That's literally what their job was. And then the Indians say, yeah, we taught the Europeans too much, and then they turned on us. That's not really. No. I mean, it's kind of what happened, but it's not really what happened. Yeah. The Moors taught them everything, and then they turned on us. That's what happened.
And they say, we taught them too much. Like
you can't teach someone too much. Unless you want power over them, then you can teach them too much where you don't have power over them anymore. But they want power over people. Yeah. Because our people don't have any power. We don't even know what real power is. This right here, that's power. But it stops once the power did its job. My arm has power in it. Mm-hmm. It takes power to do that. Mm-hmm. But then it stops. There's power in the wind. And this is talked about in the Holy Quran. Mm-hmm. Most Temple of America. There's power in the wind. You feel that. But once it passes you, it does its job, it's gone. Mm-hmm. But people want to hold on to that power. You can't. That's not how it works. Yeah. It's kind of like a whore. Like if you really want to follow it, you really got to go down to that whore's level and do whorish things to get it. Mm-hmm. So they whore our people out. You know, sell your people. You know, get them to sign these contracts that puts them in debt. Mm-hmm. Make them feel good about being black and Indian, which makes them Christian property. Mm-hmm. They're whores. Let's just be honest. You know, let's call things what they are and we'll fix the problem.
Yeah.
So yeah, economic benefit is not through the birth certificate. It's through being who you are and enforcing your rights. That's why Joel Lee said enforce our Constitution. Mm-hmm. That's all debts and contracts entered into before the adoption of the Constitution. That's Articles of Confederation, that's the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, and all authority made under the United States. Now, since the United States, they're in the de facto status, but Obama signed the Rights of Indigenous People, Article 6, that means rights of Indigenous people, that's supreme law of the land. Mm-hmm. But we're not taught constitutional principles, so we don't know that.
No.
To keep us out of an international venue.
Most of us wouldn't even turn on the TV. If we turned on the TV, we wouldn't even understand what he was talking about.
I was telling my friend, she's a European, I was telling her how Trump speaks differently when he's on the international platform and when he's here. Most people don't know that because they only see what he's doing here on Twitter, which isn't really him. You know, he got committees who do shit like that, right? Mm-hmm. So they see him how he speaks here, and then if you watch him like in any Muslim country, what they call Muslim country, he speaks totally different. Because there's a game being played here. Mm-hmm. Like you said, your international friends who you work with, they know what's up.
Yeah.
We're the ones who don't.
Yeah. I have people from born and raised in other countries that I work with that give me all this history that I'm just learning, and I think I'm telling somebody something new, and they're like, "Oh, we knew that." Because
they're nationals.
Yeah. Well, we're not in a fight with you because you're ignorant.
Yep. And then once we get all angry, we feel like, oh, you're challenging my blackness. Mm-hmm. Then we want to fight. Like,
can't tell me I'm not African American.
Right. Yeah. Is there a Asian Australian? Is there a African European? Like, what is that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we don't know geography. We don't know bloodline. We don't know pedigree. Because your nationality is your bloodline. Mm-hmm. What bloodline do you connect to? And if there's a bloodline, that means there's a land attached to it.
Yeah.
There's no black land.
I've never met one African that says, "Oh, I'm African," and leaves it at that.
Yeah, no.
That I'm Kenyan, I'm Liberian.
They say what their nationality is.
Yeah. They can't claim a continent.
And then those are people who claim to be African. Yeah. They can't even tell you where in Africa they're from.
Mm-hmm. Or now that I'm older, I didn't know that we are one of the Americas.
Yeah, there's North, South, Central America, all the adjoining islands.
I never realized it.
Because that's the game.
It's like overbrushed in school.
That's the game.
They put in your head, America, the great America, you know. And we claim the name.
Yeah, but they're stealing our name. Mm-hmm. And we call this the United States of America, where it's really North, South, Central. Mm-hmm. That's really the United States of America. Mm-hmm. And then Mexico is official name is the United States of Mexico. So after the word United States, the nation is because of is a preposition. It's a connector. Mm-hmm. So it's the United States of Morocco. But they say America because it's broad. Where in America? You can identify where, can you? Mm-hmm. And most of these Europeans, they'll say that, well, I'm a citizen of the United States. Which one?
Yeah.
And then they say, oh, of America. Well, America's a continent, so which one? Mm-hmm. And then often some of these Europeans, they'll say, well, I'm American because my grandmother was Indian. What was she? Yeah. And they'll always say Cherokee. It's always their grandmother and it's always Cherokee.
Yeah.
Like there was nothing else.
Yeah.
You guys because it's a game. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And then people get all offended. Well, they're not really. We're not Indians. It's a game. Mm-hmm. Hold on. Let me just respond to this real quick. It's sad, but like as an example, right? Montezuma. You know, the Marine Corps, so I was a Marine, right? Mm-hmm. From the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli. The Marine Corps hymn. We will fight our country's battles on the air, on land and sea. First to fight for rights and freedom, and to keep our honor clean. We are proud to claim the title of United States Marines. Hoorah! They don't say United States of America. They don't say America. They say United States. The United States is a corporation company. It's the military arm of the Popes of Rome. So they talk about from the halls of Montezuma is Mexico. Tripoli is in what we call Africa today, because that's the Moroccan Empire, right? And here's what Montezuma looked like. Oh, for you first. This is also in my book. Montezuma's a brown skin. Remember, American means one of the various copper tone natives found in America. And then they, and in the book, When Rocks Cry Out by Horace Butler, they talk about how, I was telling you in the car, the Europeans, once they dismantled the Aztec Empire, which he says had more structured buildings, right? In the book, after they dismantled the Aztec Empire, they started, the Spaniards, the Europeans, started calling themselves Mexicans. And then the real Mexicans always made a distinction between the conquistadors claiming to be Mexicans and then the true Mexicans. You see what I'm saying? And then these Europeans say, oh, these immigrants are coming to America. Mexicans are Americans. Their land is on America. They're Mexican American. Just like the Moors were Moorish American.
And Trump is trying so hard. We gotta build a wall.
Demagogism. They're using people's prejudices and all that and bias to, because there's a game going on.
Yep.
See what I'm saying? So yeah, and then also in the book he talks about how Ramses was crowned on the Temple of the Moon and Sun in Mexico, not in Egypt.
The Persian king?
I think he was Persian, Ramses. But there's also something else I wanted to say about that. Oh yeah, also in the book When Rocks Cry Out by Horace Butler, he talks about how the true name of America, the Illuminati made efforts to erase that name. Morocco, Amexem, Old Amexem. And then as I was saying earlier, the word Morocco, America, Al-Moroccan, Amuakush, which is another word for Morocco, the Berber word, Olmec, I think I said that already. All of those words, and then the Cherokee word Ama, A-M-A, which means water, and then Sagamore, various words. The root word is Mu, which means water. And then Moors are known for being seafarers. And then even in the Marines, they take our honor. They have 7 boat loops representing the 7 seas, and then the 7 holes, the circle 7, which helps stipulate your senses. But anyway, so they take all our stuff and they honor it. They just don't tell us it's from us.
Wow.
And then we think we're black, so we're looking for black history instead of Moorish history.
And the black history doesn't exist. Well, at least.
Well, the word black.
The history that they wrote for us exists
because it's fake. Because they had to have a way to keep their slaves in check. But the word black is a Middle English word. Middle English is from the 1100s to the 1500s. So there's no such thing as an ancient black person. Not only that, but the word means pale. So. And then people talk about how they try to say Moors honor white people, because in the Circle 7 it says, in the 101s it talks about white means purity, purity means God, God means ruler of the land. So when the Europeans say they're white, that's what they're saying. But then the so-called Africans and Kemetic people and the African Americans, the crown of Upper Egypt and Lower Egypt is white and red. White means purity. And then they're just uniting Upper Egypt and Lower Egypt. So it has nothing to do with skin tone. Exactly. Connotative linguistics. They connotatively make us think it means skin tone. When it means purity, ruler of the land, landlord. That's why Europeans control everything, because they took on our title.
That had us twisted and what we perceive the definitions
and
to
we
be
taught them.
Anyway.
And we taught them. So it's like the mothers and fathers of civilization are on this black level and they refuse to get off of it. While the rest of the world is suffering because we're on that level. Because we're the parents.
Yeah.
If we're 5 and 6 years old, right, and our parents aren't doing shit, the house is broken. We're the parents, we're not doing shit, the world is broken. But and then we say, yeah, we're the gods of the earth, but we're not acting like it.
No.
And then every time the European, does something that's part of our culture, we say, oh, they're stealing. We're not doing anything. We're selling drugs to each other. We're twerking. We're alcoholics. All we want to do is smoke. Like, what do you mean? It's kind of like, why do we keep holding them to this high standard when we're the ones who taught them everything? And then we say we're the gods of the earth. We say we were ancient kings and queens, but what are you doing? Are you acting like it?
No, we're on Love and Hip Hop and
because we keep honoring our lower selves. That's what we're doing.
Ratchet Mondays.
We're honoring our lower selves, and then our people get offended when we say that. Like, here's a mirror. Look in it. Look. Take a good look. I make sure I look at myself every day. to look into my eyes like, are you on mission? Like, are you gonna switch up on your own people? Like, I'm looking at myself like this. You know what I'm saying? Because that lower self is still there. You gotta slay that motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? And then these people use our lower selves, to get what they want out of us.
It's so funny because when you're doing good, people think you're everything's perfect in your life, and you never have demons, and you never have challenges. You're consciously making an effort to be a better version of yourself every day. That's
what religion is. To be better than you were yesterday. That's what Islam literally means peace, but that's literally what Islam is. It promotes it teaches you to read everything, to learn as much as you can, to learn yourself, so you can be better than you were yesterday. That's what Islam is. That's why there's a war in Islam. Because it's really the true religion. It's the old religion. It's the original religion.
Yeah.
That's why all the high priests, all the Masons, they all have Qurans with a K. Because it's a science book. But they got us thinking it's something different.
Yeah.
There's really a game going on, and it's wild.
I have Islam friends, and they tell me, in Quran they teach you math, science, household finances, all this stuff, and I'm like, how is all that in there? And it is.
Now, during the Renaissance, right, 1400s, that's when Islam was spread into Europe, because we taught them the several liberal arts: the trivium, the quadrivium, the logic, rhetoric, grammar, music, arithmetic, astrology, and what's the other one? Music, astrology, and astronomy. We taught that to Europeans. We taught them everything. And Islam promotes that. That's what it's science. Islam is a science. But people think it's what you believe.
Well, as an American, we like to believe we have all the access to all the information, but we are actually very sheltered.
Yeah.
And I know that now that I've traveled outside of the United States.
No, the United States isn't a geographical landmass, remember? When you left America, when you left home.
Yeah, when outside of America, go into other countries, I realize how sheltered we are and how things are twisted into the image that they want us to have of these different people.
This is the same thing Malcolm X found out. That's why he changed his name to a Moorish name. So he's not Malcolm X. He's El Hajj El Malik Al Shabazz. And then he was talking about nationalism. And then that's why they murdered him, because he started figuring out more science. In the book, in the movie, when they show him going into a dictionary, he was learning etymology. Not black and white. He was learning etymology. He was learning how to read.
Yeah.
And he figured out, certain people in the Nation of Islam, some were own people. They always knew this stuff, but they weren't teaching it because there's a game going on. They couldn't pay him off, so they murdered him.
Yeah.
Because he left the country. He learned some shit.
Yeah.
And some European told him, don't come over here with that black and white stuff because that's not real. You didn't, just because you came to Mecca, you left home. Maghreb Alaska is America. Not over here. Home.
Yeah.
And then they don't want this information out, so they kill people who teach it, because it literally dismantles everything that they have. And
they put so much fear around it. You even being associated or want to learn, or
that's why they call Moors. They call us terrorists. If I'm a terrorist, how come I'm not still locked up when they kidnap me? How come they just let me go?
Yeah.
And I had my Moorish ID. I said, "This is who I am," and I got video of that on Facebook. How, if we're terrorists, how come I'm free? How come not I'm on Guantanamo Bay? It's just a game.
And how do you define Moors as terrorists with overlooking the Ku Klux Klan?
Because it's a game. It's a game.
And especially with recent events going on, how is that not?
Because it's a game.
We got terrorists in our home land.
Our people can't even define what terrorism is. And I'm just gonna say it.
No, I definitely I looked it up, and I had to look it up. It was sad.
But we say police brutality, we say racism, we say all this, but we don't know what it means. We connotatively feel that there's something wrong, and then we just express we just repeat what other people are saying. But terrorism is using violence, brutality, and all this kind of stuff against civilians for political gains, for political motive, It's not racism. It's terrorism.
And the news is reporting that the KKK has infiltrated police.
They've been.
Yeah. So
how is that like that?
So how is that not terrorist?
It's been like that since the beginning. Remember 1870? You can literally look it up. The KKK went on their white supremacy mission. That's when they first started. That's when Europeans first took on the title white. Because of that Crusades mission that they did. There's no separation. We already know. We already know there's Klansmen's, Masons and all that kind of stuff. Judges, politicians, police. We already know that. It's like none of this stuff that Moors are presenting is new. It's just clearer.
And when I try to tell unwoke Moors,
who think that they're black and Indian,
police are terrorists. They're defined as terrorists,
and they're highwaymen. They're bandits.
Yep.
But since cultures and the language, remember Tower of Babel, we're using words they don't know, so they think there's a conflict because they don't read, because their black leaders aren't telling them what to read.
And it's funny because they know it.
They feel it.
They know it and they feel it. It's common law.
Right, common sense.
Because it's common sense. Yep. But for me to say, oh, that's terrorism, there's a complete disconnect because you don't know what terrorism means.
Because they don't know the etymology.
And you don't even want to look it up.
Because right, in school, right? I'm going to tell you why they don't want to look it up. In school, right? We read these books. Blacks, your people were beaten, murdered, hung, raped. You're not going to want to read anymore. That's where I was. I'm telling you the truth. I didn't want to read anymore.
No, me either.
Because I kept reading that. That's not going to get me anywhere. But then I started learning about more science. I was like, what the fuck? I started learning about my bloodline. I'm like, what the fuck?
And nobody has to tell you to read then.
Now I need to read it. I need to, you know what I'm saying? And now I know what context to read it in. Now I know how to read. That's why they always say don't worry about those black people because they can't read, because they don't know that Islam. Because we're not giving it to them in their schools.
Yeah.
You see?
And then we even lost educating our children
in
the home first.
We used to have, that's why I have a library now. The so-called, our people keep saying we're so-called African and spiritual. Africans had libraries in their house.
Yep.
Every family had a library in the house. But we don't, we don't read books. You're white. Why are you reading? That's what white people do. Yeah, because I'm a white man. That's my political status.
Yeah, and that I've read all my life, not the right things, but I was reading.
Until you found the right things.
Always had a book in my hand. You're weird.
Because you can bend reality. Based on what you know. And then in the Bible it says, my people perish for the day for lack of knowledge, but you don't want to learn nothing. Not faith, not belief, knowledge. And then we keep believing, keep the faith.
You can't tell a Christian that. The only thing you should be reading is the Bible.
Right? That one book. You're going to base your life off one book. Islam doesn't promote that. Islam promotes that you read whatever. There's a structure, but they don't dismiss anything else.
As an American, we would never know that. Just like I've met a lot of Islam women that they feel very cherished and held in high regards, but as an American, they'll let you think they're the bottom of the...
Because they're Moors too. They're not identified as Islamic women. They're whatever their bloodline is, but they're really Moors. You see what I'm saying? The only reason why the Arabs look like that is because the slave trade, when we was shipping Europeans everywhere, we had them as concubines. That's why they're light-skinned. They're still Moors. Yeah. And then in the book Golden Age of the Moors, it talks about how women were teachers, women were scholars, women were doctors. Islam doesn't suppress women. And European oligarchy, patriarchy suppresses women because nature is a matriarch. So to get us out of balance, they do that.
I was talking to a friend and he was like, the reason I want my children home with their mother is that she's charged with giving them knowledge and I'm charged with protecting. That's why she's home with the kids, teaching them.
That's how it's
not that she doesn't have the right to go out. She's maintaining a household.
Because women run government. That's what it is. In the Willie Lynch manual, they specifically talk about, and it's in my book, and I highlight all the red things when it talks about women, because once they suppress the women, they suppress the nation. This is why the Shriners, let me go into this real quick, let me go to that. The Shriners, they wear our fez, and then they have the image of the crescent and the star, Islam, which is really woman, because moon represents feminine energy, and then Venus, the star, represents feminine energy. And then when the star is in the east, eastern star, Venus, when the ground is fertile, women is fertile, that's cosmology, as above, so below, right? That's what that represents. It represents women. On the Shriner's fez, which is a Moor's fez, they still are headdress, they put this upside down, and they put the Sphinx, the woman's head on it, and they put the sword of it. Mm-hmm. Meaning they're subjugating you. Because once they get you, they get your eggs. Once they get your eggs, they get us. Mm. I was talking to, I'm not going to say her name, but our aunt, and she was telling me how back in the day when they would search the apartment complexes, they would make sure that men, we didn't have our clothes in the house. Because their whole mission is to keep the family off balance. Mm-hmm. And that's how you do it. You put all the pressure on the woman. And you get rid of her natural protector, and then she's exposed. Mm-hmm. And then they feminize the men, and they put them in jail, and then she's left to fend for herself. Mm-hmm. And then since the Europeans are the one providing for her, psychologically, mm-hmm. we might not, our women don't think this, but subconsciously they see this European, mm-hmm. almost called him white, he's not white, this European as, their provider, because this European is providing and we're not. Because mm-hmm. we keep getting locked up, mm-hmm. we're fucking cowards, mm-hmm. cowards, and we keep honoring our lower selves, and we keep disrespecting our God, who is you. Mm-hmm. You see?
Yep.
This is real. Like,
so now we don't even want to accept the men back
exactly.
in the house so they can play their
because
role
they're not
so that
men.
we can play our role.
Because they're not men. Mm-hmm. And let me show you the Shriner wearing our fez, and then they openly display that they're suppressing us.
That feeds into that whole I'm a black woman, I don't need no man.
Yep.
Blah blah. And
that's Willie Lynch.
Me growing up, like now that I'm maturing mentally, I understand that I do have a role to play, and I need to play my role. He needs to play his role, and we both need to grow up and be stronger unit.
And they daunt it proudly. And then you got Moors, unconscious Moors, who wear this. Mm-hmm.
So now I've also heard that they're not allowed to have the tassel do a full.
No, because it's a secret. They pin it down.
Be attached. Yeah.
They pin it down because they're not allowed to speak freely. Everything's a code. When they say Jesus, that's a code. When they say black, that's a code. When they say the United States, that's a code. When they call themselves keepers of the North Gate, that's a code. Mm-hmm. When they say Indians, that's a code. Truth is what it is. And then, so here's a woman, right? And then in the Bible, Genesis 2:8, and the Lord God planted a garden eastward in Eden, and here he put man, whom he formed, and we're formed in the womb. Eastward, stars now in the east. Mm-hmm. That's that. And then when they talk about the master mason who builds the perfect structure without the rasp of a saw, the hammering of a hammer, that's man being formed in the womb. This is the perfect structure. This is perfect. We're perfected man. We're not perfect, but we're perfected man. Mm-hmm. And then, it says, let us make man in our image. That's this right here. That's the mother and the father. It's the mother, father, son. Now they say Father, Son, Holy Ghost. They removed you from your position. Mm-hmm. That's literally what it is. Mm-hmm. Hold on. See, every time I save this, they always restructure it. Let me see if I can fix it real quick. But it says Allah, all law manifest or clothed into flesh. And it says, let us make man in our image. And then Allah, arm, leg, arm, head. Mm-hmm. And then, when you're born, you look like your mother and your father. That's us, and then our image. It's laid out, you know what I mean? But we think it's something in the sky that doesn't exist. Because, they don't want us to deal with facts. They want us to deal with belief. So that whole independent black woman, that's Willie Lynch. That's Willie Lynch. That's to divide the men against the women. And then this whole team dark skin, team light skin, that's Willie Lynch. Mm-hmm. And then, the feminist, and that's Willie Lynch. Mm-hmm. The transgender thing, that's Willie Lynch.
Yeah, it's sad because with each generation too,